Do you ever wonder how a simple thought or movement happens in your body? Imagine you're holding your phone, ready to send a message. How does your brain send signals to your fingers to type? This is where neurons come in. Neurons are like the body's electric wiring. They are nerve cells that transmit information. Think of them as messengers. Each neuron sends and receives messages through a process called neural firing. It's like passing a note in class, but way faster. To understand this, let's break down the parts of a neuron. Neurons have parts like dendrites, axons, and synapses. Dendrites receive signals, the axon sends them, and synapses are the gaps where these signals jump to the next neuron. It's like a relay race, where the baton is the message. But how do these signals travel? It all starts with an action potential, a tiny electric charge. This charge travels down the axon, hopping over gaps called the nodes of Ranvier, speeding up the process. Think of it as a spark flying down a wire. At rest, a neuron has a negative charge inside compared to outside, typically around negative 70 millivolts. This state, called the resting potential, is maintained by the distribution of ions inside and outside the cell. When a neuron receives a signal, ion channels open, allowing positively charged ions to rush in. This makes the inside of the cell more positive. If the depolarization reaches a certain threshold, usually around negative 55 millivolts, it triggers an action potential. Once the threshold is reached, the neuron fires, sending an electrical impulse down the axon. The action potential travels by the opening of successive ion channels along the axon. Think of the resting potential like a coiled spring, ready to release energy when triggered. Depolarization is like pressing down on the spring, and the action potential is the spring releasing its stored energy. After the action potential passes, other ion channels open, allowing positive ions to flow out, restoring the negative charge inside the cell. During this time, the neuron enters a refractory period, where it cannot fire another action potential until the cell returns to its resting state. Neurons communicate using chemicals called neurotransmitters. These chemicals can either excite or inhibit other neurons. For example, dopamine is related to pleasure and movement. Too much dopamine can lead to schizophrenia, causing hallucinations and trouble thinking clearly. On the other hand, too little dopamine can cause Parkinson's disease, leading to tremors and difficulty moving. Have you ever felt a rush of adrenaline? That's your body's way of preparing for action, controlled by neurotransmitters and hormones. These chemicals can make you feel excited or calm, hungry or full. Let's look at some key neurotransmitters. Serotonin affects mood, appetite, and sleep. Low levels are linked to depression and anxiety. Norepinephrine is involved in arousal and attention. Low levels are also associated with depression. Glutamate is the main excitatory neurotransmitter. It helps calm the brain. Low levels can cause anxiety, seizures, and insomnia. Endorphins act as natural painkillers. They are released during exercise and can create a feeling of euphoria. Substance P is involved in transmitting pain signals. When you injure yourself, substance P is released, making you feel pain. Acetylcholine is critical for muscle contraction, heart rate, and learning. In the brain, it helps with attention and memory. Low levels of acetylcholine are linked to Alzheimer's disease, causing memory loss and cognitive decline. Outside the nervous system, hormones also play a crucial role. They perform actions similar to neurotransmitters, but travel through the bloodstream, acting more slowly. The pituitary gland, located in the brain, is the master gland of the endocrine system. It controls other glands and releases hormones that regulate growth, metabolism, and reproduction. Some important hormones include adrenaline, which prepares the body for action, increasing heart rate and energy. Leptin signals the brain to reduce appetite when you're full. Ghrelin stimulates hunger, signaling the brain when you need to eat. Melatonin regulates sleep-wake cycles, helping you feel sleepy at night. Oxytocin promotes bonding and trust in relationships. Imagine you're at a gas station and a robber pulls a gun on you. Your sympathetic nervous system kicks in, triggering the release of adrenaline from your adrenal glands, preparing you to either fight or flee. Your heart rate increases, muscles tense, and you become more alert. This quick response is due to the neurotransmitters acting rapidly within your nervous system. Now, think about a stressful exam. You might feel hungry because your brain releases ghrelin, signaling your brain that you need to eat to fuel your concentration. Conversely, after a big meal, leptin tells your brain that you're full and can stop eating. Drugs can also affect this process. Psychoactive drugs alter neurotransmitter activity. Imagine you drank a strong cup of coffee. Caffeine, a stimulant, boosts neural activity, making you feel alert and awake. In contrast, after a few drinks of alcohol, a depressant, you might feel relaxed and your neural activity slows down. If someone smokes marijuana, a hallucinogen, their perception of reality might change. Opioids like heroin relieve pain but are highly addictive because they can create strong feelings of pleasure. Let's explore further into how drugs interact with our brain. Agonists are drugs that increase neurotransmitter activity. For example, Anti-anxiety medications like Xanax increase GABA activity, calming the brain. Antidepressants like Prozac block the reuptake of serotonin, making more available to improve mood. On the other hand, antagonists decrease neurotransmitter activity. For example, antipsychotic drugs block dopamine receptors to reduce symptoms of schizophrenia. Reuptake inhibitors prevent the reabsorption of neurotransmitters, keeping them in the synapse longer to enhance their effects. This is how many antidepressants work, ensuring that serotonin stays active in the brain to improve mood. Imagine if you could take a pill that changes how your brain works. Drugs can manipulate the brain's chemistry, making them powerful tools for both treatment and abuse. By either increasing or decreasing the activity of neurotransmitters, these substances can drastically alter how we think, feel, and behave. For instance, stimulants like Adderall are used to treat ADHD by increasing dopamine and norepinephrine levels, helping improve focus and attention. This shows us that one small change in this system could alter your entire experience of the world. That's the power of neurons and neurotransmitters. They control everything from your heartbeat to your thoughts and feelings. The next time you move a finger or feel an emotion, remember the tiny neurons and chemicals working behind the scenes. They might be small, but they are mighty.